ads have gone back towards this they've slid in back towards this brand awareness place where we're kind of just trying to show everybody what we have, and if you're interested, you get to make your own purchase decision. It's a lot less manipulative, I think. Welcome back to The Marketing Solution. My name is Shelby Paige. Last week we spoke about something.
CRO?
Huh?
CRO?
We did. We spoke about CRO. Yes.
See, that's why I'm here.
We spoke about conversion rate optimization.
I think you're cursed by CRO.
It's a hard.
You tripped up a lot in that one too. I think we should get very far away from CRO.
Okay. This week we're going to talk about something that is very near and dear to my heart. It's watching the news endlessly to see how our industry is changing. We're talking about iOS 14, 15, and beyond, and the privacy changes that happened after Apple kind of opened up the floodgates. So if you guys know, if you've been kind of in the social zeitgeist, you would see that people have a lot of not fear, I'd say mistrust in advertisers and the way that they accumulate data. There's a lot of memes in this world that say that you think something and then 2 minutes later your phone pops up an ad for it. Now, pre-iOS 14, like pre-June 2021, this was 100% the case. Now, we weren't actually listening to everything that you had to say, but there were options for targeting that were really invasive. They were things like, based on your IP address, on your location, we could track where you had been recently. So it was an option in location targeting to literally choose people who have been in or visited a city within a certain period of time. Crazy. 2, I could track you based off of your friends' interests, your friends' past purchases. So if you went to your friend's house and your friend bought a Ring doorbell, just being in their general location meant that I could figure out that maybe you would also be interested in a Ring doorbell, and I could put that ad in front of you. I could track you across all of your different, until you cleared your cache, I could track you and figure out exactly what you were doing, what websites you were on for up to 30 days. The attribution window for Facebook used to be a whole month. So as you could probably guess, that meant it made advertisers' jobs very easy. I could figure out exactly what you wanted to buy and then put an ad in front of you for you to buy it. Our conversion rates used to be insane. Facebook's data was so in it that I could see and attribute an ad that you saw 28 days ago, and then you bought the ad for it, and then I could go to my client and I could say, hey, look, I have a return on ad spend of 24x. 20 days ago, I showed them an ad and then they bought it, and that's on me. That's based on my contribution. It was a wild world for media buyers. Literally, I could prove, some of the return on ad spend, some of the ROAS that I was able to generate for my clients was 03, bottom of funnel layers, I could get you 58x, and it would just not stop. For every dollar you put into there, I could make you $58 for the ad spend. And the CPMs were very cheap because the targeting was very cheap. But then something crazy happened.
What a fun tale.
Apple decided that these privacy, these cookies that were shared across all these platforms needed to stop because it was invasive to user data. And the Wild West all of a sudden had a governing system come in and say no, we're putting the hands back in the people. So you'd have these little pop-ups on every app you would go to saying you could ask the app not to track. And if you did, you'd pretty much be blind to advertisers. This did not happen on Android though. So
Did you say hands back into the people?
The people had the power. The power to the people.
But you said put the hands back into the people.
I put the hands back on the people. The people had hands once more.
I'm sorry. I tried to let that one slide by, but I'm sure someone listening at home was like, did she just say that? She did.
What I'm trying to say is, before you didn't really have any sort of like say in whether or not your data got shared. You agreed to the terms and conditions on your phone, on your internet, on Facebook, and Facebook was allowed to have all of your data. And unless you cleared out your cache, cleared out your history, your browser cookies, all of those things constantly, I was following you for up to a month. That was my attribution window. In June of 2021, iOS 14, Apple gave the power to the people. And Apple said, no, you're going to be blind to these users' data. And so, as you can probably guess, return on ad spend kind of tanked. There was the attribution window shrank to 7-day view or 1-day click. And then after that, like, targeting options were kind of depleted. We still had the option on the back end to target those people. It's just so many people opted in to opting out of having their data shared with Facebook that I think the number was like 70 something % of people had initially opted out of tracking within the first like couple of days after the update hit. So you know how like Apple users, your phone's going to force you to update to the newest iOS. You guys all probably have had this happen to you at this point because it's not even iOS 14 anymore. Now we're on iOS 15. I think iOS 16 has dropped. No, it's like 15 point something. But the point is, we've lost our attribution tracking. We can't track you across platforms anymore. Is this a win? Yes, it's a win for privacy and people's rights, you know? But as far as like marketers are concerned, we had to pivot. There are entire agencies that burned to the ground because they no longer could prove to their clients that they had contributed to the sale. And then like targeting kind of went out the window too. So before, when we targeted engaged shoppers, we knew that you purchased something within the last 30 days and you were more likely to purchase something again. Now, because you've opted out, we've gone broad. We're blind now. We're like shooting in the dark, hoping we hit something. And that's fine because we take a more holistic approach. Now we take a more organic approach. We're focusing on TikTok and, you know, we've given the power to other people. But honestly, if you're asking me, a media buyer, what I prefer, I think that like tracking, having ads that actually are like custom tailored to you is kind of a better world to live in. But I mean,
there's balance.
There's a balance to it. There really is. So instead of, you know, having a bunch of like old CEOs like doing TikTok dances, which is the new world that we live in, before you would just share a meme that was like, oh, how can they read my mind? It's up to you to decide what's better. I'm not going to do TikTok dances for you guys. I'm going to share my information with you for free so that you understand that
Let's see how this episode goes first.
Okay. So that you understand that I'm a brand that knows what I'm talking about. But now ads have gone back towards this they've slid in back towards this brand awareness place where we're kind of just trying to show everybody what we have, and if you're interested, you get to make your own purchase decision. It's a lot less manipulative, I think, which is good. Like I said, it's very good. But the newest update in the industry is that Google has followed suit. So like I mentioned earlier, it was kind of like an offhanded thing that I said, but like this didn't affect Android users at first. Funny enough, Android users don't purchase as often as Apple users. That can go back into that brand voice episodes that we talked about a couple weeks back. But Android users are not as engaged shoppers in general, so it definitely already took a toll. Now, for media buyers, we're like completely wiped clean. Google has released that they are following suit with Apple's privacy changes. They're completely removing the unique advertiser ID, and they're using an ad data hub now that is native to Google. So yes, they have some sort of data and some sort of insights for media buyers, for advertisers, but in general, we are going to slide even more backwards in targeting, go even more broad, and pixel tracking is practically useless at this point. Facebook tried to save face once iOS hit. They went from pixel tracking to API tracking, which was a little more a little more in-depth as opposed to the Pixel just following you around for 30 days, but that really hasn't proved to be that fruitful either. Google tracking to a certain extent was still working, but now they've decided that that's completely gone as well. Pixels are practically useless. So when we talk about setup, when we talk about the technical setup for your ad strategy, yes, technically it's going to be around until 2023, until late next year when it's completely sunsetted, so you should install your Pixel. But realistically, we have a whole new way to think about engaging with brands. It can't just be like you launch an ad and the wild, wild west puts it right in front of the most likely person to buy and your ad dollar gets stretched. CPMs have gone up because it's gone more broad. CPM means cost per milli, aka cost per 1,000 people that the ad is exposed to. CPMs have risen, targeting has slid backwards towards a more broad state, and we can't track whether or not that even contributed to a purchase past 7 days at this point. That attribution window has shrank. So ads went from being this very easy way to saturate your brand to the correct market. Now it's kind of more like a wishing well. That doesn't mean that ads are useless. Actually, I'm still a huge proponent isn't the right word. I still think that ads are a great way to saturate your market, especially in platforms where you have no organic brand awareness. I think on Facebook now, if you are a business, your page reaches 0.01% of the organic followers. So even if you have a page like campaign, even if you're shoving people towards your page, when you organically post on your page, it's going to reach barely anybody. It's really a pay-to-play platform now. It might sound like we're moving towards a really scary place, but if you become a real brand, if you focus on those brand episodes that I mentioned earlier, these iOS privacy changes, they're not going to affect you. You're a real brand with engaged audience members, and you'll be able to reach new audience members with those ads on those pay-to-play platforms still. You just need to kind of change your mindset. You need to have a more holistic approach to your marketing strategy on both the paid and organic side. Whether or not that results in you doing TikTok dances is totally up to you. If you decide if that makes you go viral, that's a great way to expose your brand. However, you can still put money into the Facebook and Instagram machine and have good results. You just need to, like I said, approach it in a different manner. What is that manner? We'll talk about it in future episodes. But for right now, that is your insight into all of the privacy changes that have happened across Facebook and Google over the past year, coming up on a year now. So iOS 14 hit, changed the privacy game. Thank you, Apple. In June of 2021, Google is sunsetting their advertiser ID early 2023. Should you still install a Pixel? Maybe. Is it going to help you? Not really. But we are going to get through this together. Thank you, and we're out.